Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with us. You know how much we love to really unpack these topics, right?
Yeah.
Well, today we're going deeper into this whole idea of inner child work.
Ooh, inner child work. I love it.
And you know how it all ties into achieving your big crazy dreams.
It's fascinating.
Totally. So we've got this awesome transcript from the Balance Theory podcast.
Oh yeah, Eric is great.
She is, and her guest, Rhea Jacobs. She's an entrepreneur and model with the most inspiring story.
Wait, the one who was told as a kid that her dreams were totally unrealistic?
Yes, her. And guess what? She became a Marc Jacobs beauty ambassador.
No way.
Yes way. And she even started her own super successful self-care brand.
It really shows you how much those early messages can stick with you.
Big time.
Yeah.
Imagine someone telling you, nope, your dreams are way too big, be realistic.
Ouch.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. And Rhea talks about this, how that feedback, especially if it's criticism, can leave a mark on you, even as an adult. It's like those words get lodged in your brain, and then they control how you see yourself,
Right, and limit what you think you can achieve.
Exactly. Have you ever had that? Someone said something and it just stayed with you.
Oh, totally. I think we all have. It's wild how kids, they're like little sponges soaking everything up.
Especially from adults, right? You trust those adults, so you believe what they say.
Yeah, even if they don't mean to be negative. Or even, like Rhea points out, sometimes it's not even direct criticism. It's more like they only focus on what you're not doing instead of what you are doing well.
It's like that whole thing with participation trophies, right?
Oh, interesting.
I get both sides,
Yeah.
But I can also see how if you always hear about what you're lacking, you might get scared to even try.
That's a good point. Are we accidentally making kids afraid to fail instead of encouraging them to, see challenges as chances to grow?
And how does that affect them later on as adults?
Maybe they don't chase those big dreams because of that fear. But Rhea's story shows you that it's never too late to unpack all that stuff.
Totally. And she gives you a plan to do it. She says there are 3 steps.
Mm-hmm.
You start with finding those pain points, the things that still, make you feel bad.
Ooh, yeah, but how do you even know what those are, especially if it happened ages ago?
Yeah, like digging up old memories.
Exactly. Rhea suggests journaling, to explore all those feelings without judgment. Or ask yourself specific questions like, what compliments did you wish you got as a kid but never did?
That's so smart. Okay, now I'm thinking about my own stuff.
Yeah, this is deep.
It is, right.
Yeah.
But the cool part is you can change those stories. Rhea's next step is remembering that healing isn't a quick fix.
It's a journey, right? Not like, oh, I went to this workshop, now I'm fixed.
Exactly. It's about being aware of yourself every day and making it a habit.
Like going to the gym, right? One workout won't suddenly make you super fit. Totally. And then Rhea's third step is using writing prompts to connect with your inner child, offer them the support they needed.
That's such a cool idea. It's like talking to your younger self, and she actually has this prompt in her journal, Ray of Light. What does your inner child need to hear to heal?
Wow, that is powerful. Imagine getting that validation and love, that maybe you missed back then.
It reminds me of this thing I did in therapy where you picture yourself in an elevator and each floor is a different age. You can visit your younger self and give them a hug.
Oh, wow. I love that. It's just like inner child work, right?
Yeah.
You connect with different parts of yourself to really understand who you are and why you do the things you do.
It's like putting a puzzle together, but with your own life.
Yes. And realizing that healing isn't just about fixing the bad stuff. It's about making all those experiences part of who you are now.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about early experiences and healing your inner child, but how does that connect to self-love?
Ooh, good question. Because self-love for a lot of people is bubble baths and face masks. But Rhea and Eric are saying it's way more than that.
Yeah, it's not just pampering yourself. It's about accepting and being kind to yourself no matter what. Remember Rhea's analogy, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right. If you're always giving to others without taking care of yourself, you'll burn out.
And then you have nothing left to give. It's not selfish. It's essential. Rhea even says that, just enjoying a cup of coffee can be a self-love ritual.
I love that. It's all about being present and intentional, even with small things.
Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd give a friend, right?
Exactly. And Erica's definition of self-love really resonated with me. She says it's about accepting and forgiving yourself even when you mess up.
Ooh, that's a good one. We're often so hard on ourselves,
I know. That inner voice is always criticizing everything we do.
But true self-love is like silencing that voice and giving yourself a break.
Yes. Remember, You're a work in progress, and that's okay.
It's about loving all of you, flaws and all. Okay, we've got to talk about this. Toxic positivity versus optimism. They talked about this person in a ditch analogy.
Oh, yeah. It was a good one. It's like someone's stuck in a ditch, but they're just focusing on the sunny weather instead of trying to get out.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on a huge wound.
Right. You might feel better for a second, but you're not actually dealing with the problem.
True optimism is different, though. It's like you acknowledge the problem and believe you can solve it.
It's about being realistic but hopeful.
Rhea even challenges everyone listening to check their own positivity. Is it real or just a way to avoid dealing with tough feelings?
That's deep. Sometimes being brave means facing those hard feelings head on.
And sometimes that's the most loving thing you can do for yourself.
Totally. Okay, hold on. Let's switch gears for a minute. Remember, Rhea's the one who was told her dreams were too big?
I know. And she became a Marc Jacobs beauty ambassador.
Out of like hundreds of thousands of people, too. And you know what got me? She didn't let it go to her head. She still cares about connecting with people.
She even learned this amazing lesson from Marc Jacobs himself. True success is about how you treat others, not just what you achieve.
So powerful. Especially in a world where everyone's chasing fame and money.
Rhea shows us that true happiness comes from inside, from your values, and how you treat people.
It's about making the world a better place, you know.
Totally. And that brings us to the next part of our deep dive. We're going to talk about Rhea's ideas on finding balance, being present, and celebrating the journey.
Ooh, I can't wait. This is good stuff.
Okay, so we're back, and we're still geeking out over Rhea Jacobs' story. Something that really stuck with me was how she talked about feeling kind of disconnected even after reaching those huge milestones.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? Like you'd think hitting a dream like that Marc Jacobs thing would be pure happiness, but she was talking about like an emptiness.
Almost like she was on autopilot, just checking things off a list without really like feeling it.
Yeah. I think a lot of us can relate to that in this whole like go, go, go culture. Like, are we even enjoying the ride?
It's like that marathon versus sprint thing, you know?
Yeah.
If you sprint through life, you might burn out before you even reach the finish line.
And miss all the cool stuff along the way. It's about finding that sweet spot, pushing yourself, but also knowing when to like chill and celebrate how far you've come.
Speaking of celebrating, both Rhea and Erica were really big on that, acknowledging those wins, no matter how small. It's like shifting your focus from what you haven't done to what you have.
Yeah, like giving yourself a high five for every mile you run, even if it's not the finish line yet.
And those celebrations don't have to be like huge parties. Maybe you just take a minute to reflect, or you treat yourself to something nice. It's about bringing that joy into the process.
I love that. Make the journey fun, not just the destination. Rhea's also really into being present, like really intentional with even small things.
Yeah, like having her matcha in the morning or hanging out with her dog in her garden. It's about being grateful for those little moments.
Right, because happiness isn't this thing you have to wait for. It's like already here if you pay attention. I think that's what's so powerful about Rhea's story. It's not just about external success. It's about like inner peace.
Totally. Aligning your actions with what really matters to you. You mentioned you struggle with impatience sometimes, and Erica talked about that too. She used to think taking time to be mindful was like a weakness.
I know, right? Like we're supposed to be hustling 24/7. But what Erica realized is that taking a break actually helps you grow and like enjoy the process more.
It's about giving yourself permission to slow down and reconnect with yourself.
And realizing that rest isn't the enemy of productivity, it's like essential for it.
And I love how Rhea reframes impatience.
Yeah.
She says it's a sign you really want something.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Instead of fighting it, you can use that energy to fuel your efforts.
It's like, hey, I'm impatient because I care about this.
Exactly. It's a strength, not a weakness. And it reminds you that your journey is your own. Comparing yourself is just a recipe for feeling bad.
Totally. It was so cool that Rhea, someone so successful, could admit to feeling impatient too. It's like, okay, it's normal.
Yeah, like we don't have to have it all figured out all the time. And I loved what she said about like everyone having their own time.
Right. She had her time. This is my time. Maybe I needed to learn the things I needed to learn to get here. So it's fine.
Yeah, trust the process. Don't compare or try to force things. Rhea also talked about aligning your goals with your values, you know? Like she had achieved what she thought she wanted, but wasn't happy.
Because it wasn't truly her, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in what society tells us success is.
But connecting with your inner child, like we talked about, helps you figure out what you really want.
It's like finding that sense of play and excitement again.
And giving yourself permission to go after those dreams, even if they seem crazy to other people.
Because at the end of the day, the most fulfilling path is the one that feels right to you. And you know what? That leads us perfectly into the next part of our deep dive, where we'll talk about Rhea's approach to goals now. Okay, so here we are, the final part of our deep dive into all things Rhea Jacobs. And we've talked about her journey, her healing, like how she defines success. But what blows my mind is how all of this changed how she thinks about goals.
Yeah, it's like a total 180 from the way most of us are taught to, like, be ambitious, right?
Totally. Rhea used to be so focused on the end goal, like hitting those milestones, that she kind of missed out on the fun part, the learning part of actually getting there.
It's like she was climbing a mountain, eyes only on the summit, but not even noticing the amazing view along the way.
Exactly. And she was missing out on growing and learning. Now get this. She sees goals as like weights to lift.
Weights.
Yeah. She's all about gradual growth. You start with what you can handle, you build strength, instead of trying to lift the heaviest thing right away.
I like that. It makes sense, right?
Totally. And it fits with her whole message of self-compassion, like being okay with messing up along the way.
Because we're not going to be perfect at everything.
Nope. But we can learn from those mistakes, adjust our approach, and keep going.
Exactly. It's not a failure. It's a chance to learn. Ray is really big on, like, not being ashamed to take things slow, to break down those big goals into smaller chunks.
It's funny, right? In a world where everything's got to be fast, slowing down can almost feel like rebellious.
Totally. But it's so important for, like, actual success, however you define that.
I agree. Find a pace that you can enjoy, not one that's going to make you burn out. Remember that quote from her TED Talk? The challenges you go through prepare you for the weight of your dreams.
Ooh, yeah. It's like those tough times, those moments when you want to quit. They're not there to break you.
They're actually making you stronger, getting you ready to handle those big dreams.
They're like training for your dreams. And speaking of challenges, we keep coming back to this impatience thing.
Oh yeah, so relatable. It's easy to get caught up in that I want it now feeling, especially when you see other people like crushing it. But Rhea's got a good antidote for that.
Oh, I'm listening.
She reminds us that everyone's journey is different. Comparing yourself just makes you feel bad. And remember her awesome reframing of impatience.
As a sign you really want something.
Yes. It's like, hey, I'm impatient because this matters to me.
It's fuel. It's a strength. And it reminds you that, like, you're right where you need to be right now.
Another thing I love about Rhea, she's honest about how she used to approach goals, like how it wasn't working for her.
Totally. It's refreshing. She's not pretending to have all the answers, just sharing what she's learned. Like, even her take on self-love evolved.
It used to be more about what other people thought than truly accepting herself.
Yeah, it was like she was trying to fill a hole with achievements, But it didn't work until she focused on, like, healing her inner world.
That's when the real happiness came, right?
Exactly. Happiness comes from inside, not from what other people think.
So, big question. What can we take away from Rhea's story? All this wisdom she shared.
I think it's this. Achieving your dreams isn't about forcing it or being perfect. It's about embracing the messiness, learning, and, like, loving yourself through it all. Find joy in the process, celebrate wins, and trust the timing of your own life.
And never forget that it's never too late to heal that inner child and create a life that truly feels right for you.
Rhea's story is like a reminder that we can rewrite our stories, redefine success, and make our lives both meaningful and fulfilling.
If you're like totally inspired now and want to dive deeper, you can find Rhea online at rheajacobs.com and on Instagram at theirheadjacobs.
And check out her Ray of Light journal. It's full of prompts to help you connect with your inner child and cultivate self-love.
We hope you loved this deep dive as much as we did. It was packed with wisdom, right?
Oh, good.
Until next time, remember to embrace the journey, celebrate those wins, and keep dreaming big.